RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 YouTube talk show. Excited to be back for a Tuesday edition. And boy, do we have an interesting subject to talk about. It was a crypto coin, Bitcoin seizure, or was it a setup or a sting operation? I have my thoughts I want to share on it, but I'm curious to hear yours as well as any other subject matter worth touching on in regards to the current micro picture dealing with everything that's happening around us. Anyway, hope everyone's doing well. My name is Mike, the host of Detroit's #1 YouTube talk show. Excited to be back and look forward to connecting. As always, I want to make sure I extend an invitation to any of the viewers, whether new or old, to let us know where you're watching from via the chat. And then when the phone lines open up, 313-462-0027 is the number to call and let your voice be heard, because this is the People's Talk Show. All right, let's jump right in. I'll acknowledge a couple people for taking the time to bless us with their presence. And as always, I want to make sure I include everybody. So feel free to throw out thoughts, topics, subjects you guys want to touch on in the chat or call in, let me know. And I'll got a couple of subjects here to touch on, and then we'll open up the phone lines and go from there. But anyway, looking forward to connecting. So CS mentions the 10-year treasury approaching that 2 percentage point range. Okay. The higher it goes, the slower the economy, and of worse, the worse the economic conditions that we're living in. That's ultimately what it boils down to. So yeah, definitely something worth keeping an eye on. We got Pablo checking in. We got Dude Boy. We got Ron, Monkey King. We got Jay from Chicago. We got Excalibur, JP from the UK. Let me see here. We got Chase from Texas. It says Texas calling in. Appreciate you, Chase. We got Ron, Ricardo, Juliet from Chicago as well. Angie checking in. JoJo, Punisher 6, JP. All right, people. He says, say my name. JP Millward, man. Appreciate you, man. We got Freethinker from Slovenia. Okay. Appreciate you. Let us know what's happening over in your neck of the woods, Freethinker. Curious to hear what it's like on the ground there as far as this current health situation, as well as the economic conditions in your neck of the woods. Let us know. Jeff checking in. Okay, fair amount of people tuning in. Appreciate you guys as always for blessing me with your presence. If you don't mind, hit that thumbs up button. Show your support for the channel. Hopefully the algorithms notify a few more people, and then we can check in more. And Jay says, did you check out? Yeah, so of course, whenever Dave and John throw out something, I definitely go through it, because it's definitely worth your time to try to put together these dots, because everything that's being put in front of our eyes on the other side of that is a different story. And it goes well beyond what we're being told. As I said yesterday, don't believe anything you hear from a mainstream news source without first looking at the alternative side of that from another source, and then coming up with your own viewpoints as to what's true, what's a lie. And I definitely want to jump on today's story, just because when I first came across it, it made me, alarm bells went off, and I'm like, okay. So I want to share with you a tweet that I put up right when I saw the announcement. Let me actually get my windows up here. Where am I? Okay. Let me get my windows situated here. So once I saw this headline, U.S. arrests a couple for allegedly laundering $4.5 billion in crypto tied to a Bitfinex hack. So within that sentence there, all type of alarm bells went off. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, okay. The very first thing is a couple. They arrest a couple. I'm thinking like this must have been a extremely sophisticated, high-tech type of couple. But then it says they're laundering, and then it talks about a hack that took place several years ago. And the first thing was, why now? Could this have anything to do with the fact that within the next couple of days, weeks, we're going to be hearing about a Biden administration passing some form of an executive order to deal with this entire space based upon all the conditions that they've set forth as being problematic for the national security or the continuation of the dollar hegemony around the world, more likely. And it's stuff worth diving into. So nothing is by coincidence. Everything is intentional, and it's a setup, in my opinion. And so I want to touch on that a little bit, get your thoughts on it. But just to, piggyback on what I was talking about, I said, it's a good thing the public ledger allows for the tracking and tracing by government, how else would they be able to stop this type of crime? And of course, I'm just joking, but thanks to the ability of having a public ledger for trust, it allows our government officials to do such an awesome job of stopping money laundering, crimes, hacks, and stuff like that. Or was this all a part of the setup? Something smells fishy here, people. And I want to share my 2 cents on it as well as get yours and go from there. But Sean, appreciate you, my man, for blessing the channel. It says, Big Mike, I got one of your rounds. By any chance, can you explain a smart contract? Okay, well, Sean, appreciate you for blessing the channel by acquiring one of the art pieces here from RTD. Thank you. And as far as a smart contract, from the information I've gathered, it's ultimately an agreement between two parties that's utilizing the blockchain, which alleviates all the need for counterparties to establish trust amongst the people looking to do to whatever deal they're trying to do. It's publicly visible on the ledger, and and you're able to set it up as being an autonomous, figure style approach that allows parties to engage one another, minus the need for any type of third party. So it's basically a contract on a public blockchain that allows activity to take place, whether it be exchange of value, exchange of time. You can exchange whatever you want on a smart contract on some blockchain. And so that technology in and of itself is extremely valuable. And that's kind of where I'm on the fence as to how this will play out this month, especially with the whole Biden administration's executive order, because of the advent of smart contracts that alleviates the need for mediators in the form of the banking institutions on Wall Street. I think this is a disruptive approach that the whole DeFi space, CeFi, all those FIs have created. And that right there plays into why this executive order is coming in the next couple of weeks. And I think it's designed to reinstate control of all the financial markets back into the hands of the Wall Street banks, as well as making sure the government get their cut. So mind you, everything the government will do, in my opinion, moving forward is designed to keep the dollar as the primary go-to mechanism, i.e., the stablecoin issuance and the negotiations being done right now in the House and Finance Committee, which took place today, about a 3-hour or so live stream of all the politicians sharing their 2 cents on why stablecoins are important and need to be regulated. So right now, we've passed a point of adoption, mass adoption, which was all the earlier Bitcoin enthusiasts were excited about. Now we're entering into the regulation phase. And you better believe this regulation is not designed to make sure that the government is moved out of the way. They want to be in the way, front and center, like they always have been. So whatever's coming the next couple of weeks, it will not be a favorable activity for the average retail investor, period, in my opinion. Okay, so hopefully that kind of shine a little bit light on it. Of course, I still will engage more crypto-friendly individuals, just because I think it's good to have those open discussions, non-biased approach towards understanding this. And so definitely smart contracts serve a purpose because it allows you to get access to the crypto space, as well as other, even the tokenized assets that will become very prevalent. The problem is governments and Wall Street, they want their cut. And that's where we're going to see a major showdown in the next couple of weeks as we have this regulation and crypto stuff come out. But let's dive further into this headline story, because I think it's important. So I was actually just reading through some of the information here. Let me pop this open real quick, and then we'll dive in. And of course, all types of other stories to touch on. We're going to do that. Let me minimize some stuff. This is too big. Okay, here we go. All right, let me open up this window. As always, for those coming in, we're going to touch on a little bit of everything, so feel free to throw out some topics. We'll jump on it. But just want to share my 2 cents real quick. So this gives a timeline of other events that took place today from what we're being told. Question everything, believe nothing. And so it says, Fed seizes $3.6 billion in stolen Bitcoins, arrests couple 5 years after a massive crypto exchange hack. Okay, let's try to break some of this down, help it make sense. So as I said before, all these things here are causing alarm bells to go off in my mind, and hopefully yours as well. So let's question this and criticize and critique this. So anyway, give an idea what's going on. And so just to show you a little bit more, these are the two individuals that this is the alleged couple that was a part of this whole sting operation or setup. We're going to talk about that. But we have, if I know I'm going to butcher this name, but a Yaya Lechenstein, a tech entrepreneur and Y Combinator alum, and Heather Morgan, a Forbes columnist. So these are this is supposed to be the couple that launder billions of stolen crypto. So not quite sure if these people would fit the bill as your stereotypical crypto hackers that's capable of pulling this off. That's why I'm questioning as to, what's really going on here, because I don't think they fit the bill. But yeah, once again, never judge a book by its cover. But here's the thing. I'm gonna scroll through this thread a little bit more to show you how things aren't really lining up, in particular to some of these pictures in regards to this lady here, Heather Morgan. I don't know nothing about her, never seen her do anything before, but her own pictures don't add up. So we'll talk about that. Okay. So let's just go through this article real quick, give you some of the timeline. So here's the timeline for what we're being told. Take it for what it's worth. But I'll thumb through this to lay a little bit of background or foundation. It says, according to the court filings, 34-year-old Lichtenstein and his wife, Heather Morgan, 31, conspired to launder the proceeds of 119,000 bitcoins, currently worth $5 billion, were stolen from the Bitfinex platform after a breach of the cryptocurrency exchange in 2016. So here we have a 34-year and a 31-year-old that's being presented as the culprits for this heist. So I'm assuming they're trying to help. They're trying to make it appear as just these two people were behind a platform breach, which, in my opinion, it takes a very tech-savvy individual or group of individuals to pull this off. But then what makes this most interesting is this happened 6 years ago. 6 years ago, and just today, supposedly, the Department of Justice was able to find the private keys in Dropbox, might I add, through getting a warrant to search their financial dealings. And you mean to tell me these two individuals, these high-tech, sophisticated hackers, left the private keys to stolen property in their financial matters in a so-called file storage program? Okay. Yeah. Okay, sure. Whatever. We'll work with that. It says at that time, the unnamed hacker allegedly made more than 2,000 unauthorized transactions, transferring the stolen cryptocurrency to a digital wallet under Liechtenstein's control. So 2,000 attempted transactions were made under the Liechtenstein's control. Okay, we'll work with that. It says they allege that Liechtenstein and Morgan then employed numerous sophisticated laundering techniques. And so once again, if you believe that these two individuals are capable of pulling off such a heist of 119,000 Bitcoin, okay, take it for what it's worth. But then they're also trying to now come up with different methods on how to get rid of those coins. So it's including using fake identities to set up online accounts and running computer programs to automate transactions to transfer about 25,000 stolen coins out of the wallet and into financial accounts jointly controlled by the couple over the next 5 years. This is a quite large plan here. It says, according to the Department of Justice, on Tuesday today, special agents, listen to this one, special agents obtained court-authorized search warrants to go through the couple's online accounts and were able to find files containing the private keys required to access a digital wallet containing now 94,000 Bitcoins, representing about 3.6 billion. So once again, I remember last year when we were confronted with the idea that the Colonial Pipeline and all the food companies, they were hacked, and the hackers requested Bitcoin as the primary method of payment, knowing that Bitcoin is a surveillance coin in and of itself. To me, this smells like a setup from day one. I question the two actors as being accused. I question the methods in which those alleged Bitcoins were reacquired back into the federal government's possession. And on top of that, even the narrative that they're selling us doesn't add up. So I question all that just because why now, 6 years after the fact? And this is the thing, like, it doesn't take much for the history and the transactions to be verified and proven and tracked and traced and monitored on the blockchain because it's wide open and it's visible. So to me, it just spells that this sting operation is a setup leading into Biden's upcoming executive order, because it will be used as probably the biggest seizure by the government. And they're selling it as if they saved the actual owners of the property, i.e., the Bitcoins themselves. So, what will happen is that Biden will use this under this upcoming executive order where he transfers power of some type into the hands of the Treasury, giving Janet Yellen complete authority to be able to do whatever they're going to do. And they're going to use the fact that they're doing it in your best interest and our best interest. And something doesn't smell right here. So here's the next couple questions. If the government happened to have recovered 100 or 94,000 Bitcoin, will those Bitcoins go back to their original owners, which were the people who were victimized under the hack at Bitfinex 6 years ago? That's one question. And then two, if this thing is prolonged, will the government, as of now, they're holding, approximately 94,000 coins in their possession. So at this current moment, the coins belong to the government until further notice. Will this be used in a way to hinder the growth of the decentralized asset market? I.e., if, say, for example, the government decides to just dump those coins, if they could, if they do, will that also trigger, downward pressure on the markets as well? So these are all the questions that I think, it should be only natural that we ask, because nothing really makes sense. And so to keep moving right along, there's more to the story, but I'll spare you guys all that, pain. But this is what it's all about. And I was actually watching, I follow several crypto people just to keep an eye and keep a pulse on everything that's going on. And so here we have Biden preparing executive order on cryptocurrency. So this is from Investopedia, and it gives a good, well-rounded synopsis of what could be coming. And I'll just thumb through a couple bullets here that caught my attention, because sometime this week we're going to find out, or this month we're going to find out. But just some of the key takeaways. It says the Biden administration is reportedly preparing an executive order regarding cryptocurrencies. It says a key goal of the order is to develop a coordinated policy response from all agencies and departments within the federal government. So they want to make sure, as this new asset class formulates and grows, that all agencies, all departments will be in on this in some capacity. So something worthwhile. It says maintaining the U.S. leadership in the global economy is another goal, i.e. the dollar hegemony. We want to make sure the dollar is not only used as something that the Wall Street banks can use to launder money and support crime syndicates and stuff like that. They want to make sure that they get their cut. And it says the order may be issued as early as February 2022. And it says political imperative. And so here's a list of all the agencies that will have their hands in on a cookie jar. And so what the order may contain, it boils down to, and this right here, the introduction of the discussion paper of the CBDC falls into the same time frame, further regulating and providing authority over the whole stablecoin issuance is the second part. And then the third one will be something to do with the decentralized finance. And what I'm thinking is that once the stablecoins are utilized as the mechanism that the government approves banks to use, as well as the financial institutions to use, then they're going to take that right to the exchanges. And the way you crack down on the exchanges is simply you limit the trading pairs that exchanges will be able to use. So as of now, if you go into, I think it's like, well, let me see. The most popular cryptocurrency exchanges, they have multiple pairs that you can trade from. USDT, USDC, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the other major cryptocurrencies. What they'll end up doing is that with the exchanges, which will be the new version of the banks, so they're going to control everything in the U.S. will be everything in the U.S., the big ones, Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, you name it. They're going to become the gatekeepers for every retail investor in this country. The KYC AML will be ramped up. You're going to have to also, report your actual address wallets that you will be getting in and out with. So they'll have a way of tracking and tracing all your transactions. And with this new IRS stuff that's being thrown out here this summer, you're going to have the facial recognition, do the biometric scanner and scan, and voice authentication and two-factor authentication and all that stuff for the IRS. So that's also be included in this at some point. And then lastly, all the crypto exchanges in the U.S., you will have to use either whatever the certified stablecoin will be, which will probably be USDC, because USDT is going to be taken out or transitioned back into USDC slowly but surely, in a sense. So all the trading pairs on exchanges will be USDC, which is also a surveillance coin that will proceed, that will be followed by, rather, the CBDC, which will come after the next market contagion event. That's just my whole little thesis summarized for whatever it's worth. So just something worth keeping an eye on, because this is what's coming. And so if you guys want, here is more of the Department of Justice breakdown on this, on the largest financial seizure in digital asset history, right here, and all the operatives, all the people who had their hands on it. And so the trial attorneys, all the details, if you care to follow all this stuff. And so this, to me, in my opinion, was a setup. I don't think none of this was actually as true as they wanted to actually play out. And so Bitro, I see you, my friend, says you just need Bitcoin. And so that leads further into the crackdown. This will be more of a defining moment to where we'll see what the whole decentralized asset space is really about. Is it a threat or is it a setup? And that's where I'm interested to find out how this goes, because the mainstream media has bought into it. If you see Charles Payne, Ted Cruz, all these public figures, they've all put they've put $50,000 into Bitcoin. So that buys them approximately 1.5-ish Bitcoin, give or take. And so we know all the politicians submitted their financial statements. They put more Bitcoin onto their balance sheet, onto their own financial reserves or capital savings information. So we see that from public information standpoint. And so we're going to find out, because the whole push to adoption, it was all fine and good before the regulation came in. Now we're going to find out how Congress, as well as all these government entities, how they'll approach Bitcoin as property. Because Michael Saylor's done a good job of out here spewing about digital property. Digital property is better than having hotels, and Manhattan is better than this, better than that. We're going to see. Will a failing government, at a time that the world is shifting away from the current reserve currency, will they still value digital property and regular property rights moving forward? And that's where I always say that just as things shift, law and order, rule of law, respect of law tends to fade away. And somehow, some way, I can see the whole digital property narrative starting to shift a little bit. So we'll see, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. So anyway, a couple more subjects here, just to show you how the crackdown is on because of the supposed threat of this decentralized asset space. Here is an article here. It says Venezuela's reportedly hit by a new Bitcoin tax of up to 20%. So take from that what you may. Once again, in a failed state, the question is, how do you enforce that? And we'll see how that plays out. My thought would be, it's going to be hard to do it in a country that's already predominantly controlled by what will be considered as black market operations, where people do things on their own, away from their government's eyes. So will they enforce that? Probably not. That's just my 2 cents. All right, next one here. Here is the video I was talking about earlier, how today, Digital Assets and Future of Finance, the president's working group, had I think it was about a 4-hour discussion on stablecoins. So everybody got a chance to share their 2 cents as to how stablecoins can and will. So here is something that I didn't watch the whole thing, but here is something worthwhile. You have Representative Nydia Valenquez from New York holding up a picture of Brock Pierce. So we got Brock Pierce being brought up again. So we know he's behind the whole Tether situation. So I'd be curious to find out what that's all about, because either that's advertising for USDT or they're trying to basically right now, as the stablecoin stuff transitions down to the government's hands, where the preferred coin is USDC, maybe USDT might be thrown under the bus. And then, speaking of which, real quick while I'm stopped rambling, let me share with you another. Let me see here. Where's it at? Let me find this real quick. Let me see. Where's it at? Nope, I shared it on Telegram. But anyway, Tether is always making it says Tether is always in the news. And so Congress people now are speaking out against Tether. And so Tether will now probably take the blunt of the negative publicity so that stablecoin can be transitioned into the hands of the USDC, which is a financial institution approved. Let me see here. Financial institution approved entity. So let me, okay, I can't find it real quick. But anyway, it's an interesting article there on Tether and how Congress people are now starting to turn on Tether. What a coincidence. Okay, keep it moving. And on another note, here is something that's developing in the city of Detroit and Windsor area. So as of now, due to the trucker situation, the Canadian bridge has been halted. So we got all those truckers out there basically standing their ground, parking those trucks on the bridge. So that bridge is mighty heavy right now. So we'll see how this unfolds, but it's not being discussed on any Detroit news stations whatsoever. And so this is from on-demand news. And so as of now, we got the trucks stopped on the bridge in Detroit. More power to the people right there. All right. And then on the last note here, I definitely want to touch on, let me pull this up here. We can't not talk about the transition away from the Federal Reserve note without talking about the debt issues our country is facing and the unsustainability of the debt load due to the increased cost of borrowing for the government here. So here is the current amounts of yield rather for, we got the 2-year, 5-year, 10-year, 30-year treasury yields. And so as of now, we got the 10-year approaching 2 and the 30-year is 2.25. So once again, I think a lot of people pay attention to the yield curve inversion using different time frames for the treasury yields. But ultimately, we all know, and I guess it's kind of good to keep a pulse on the actual health of the economy by looking at the debt market. But as I always said before, this note here is already done for. It's just a matter of how it fades out or how it plays out. And of course, as I said before, all dollars are not created equal. You got the Federal Reserve note, which is the predominant, currency that we all know and use because it's legal tender. But then also we have this other one here. Don't forget about this dollar. This dollar right here, this is the people's dollar. The more you have of these and the less of these, you'll be in great shape, financially speaking. Okay, anyway, let's move on. Enough of me ranting. Let's talk. Let's open the phone lines. Let's hear from you guys directly. Let me know what's on your mind. What do you think? What are your thoughts about this whole Bitcoin seizure, the setup operation, and how, in my opinion, it's used to help the Biden administration usher in their executive order, which will be more of a crackdown on exits utilizing cryptocurrencies?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's Steve from Jersey.
Steve, what's going on, my man? Give me a quick thought.
Okay, so maybe this executive order has to do with the fact of America seeing, or the government seeing, that like Russia is getting their act together as far as determining what is the course of this digital asset.
Right.
An example is that the 6% tax. So maybe it's not necessarily a conspiracy theory, not to say it's not, but maybe that has to do with it. The other thing too is that, and I don't know how your audience, how far stretched they are around the world, but, and I know you're in America and I live in America, but I'm not American.
Okay.
I belong to the planet, right?
Okay.
So for me, what the bigger part about the conversation is that the world is not about just America. And I know you talk about it because you live here.
Right.
But the way this technology is going forward, Mike, is that the governments are not going to have the same power like they used to.
Right.
What is going to happen is people are going to have the ability to have sovereign government-ness in their own. They're going to own themselves.
Right.
And then what happens is these governments around the world are going to have to be able to produce a better product, because people are not going to stay in the area that they are. Because naturally, if you get a better deal, you're going to go with the better deal.
Right.
So an example is like Portugal, good area, right? They have zero cryptocurrency tax. So why would you want to stay in an area where the governments continue to tax you rather than moving to an area where that capital, instead of being taxed, you can use to buy a house, or you can use to invest in the actual country itself by taking that capital. So yes, it is America and this and that, what they're going to do. But ultimately, this technology will allow people individually to have the ability to choose without having to physically be controlled by borders. Right. And the technology will make this world a borderless world. So yes, there are trials and tribulations along the way, but this is part of one of the important things of this technology, and it's not really being talked about. Right. And not to say that it's not being talked about somewhere else or you, but that's the bigger picture than just this one moment in history.
Right. Good point. And also keep in mind that as of right now, under this current structure, the way things are set up is for, people who are citizens of this particular land here, anywhere you go, the taxes will follow you. So, you can take your digital property with you to another country, but then again, the law still applies to you as to you having to report that under your income tax. So the tax system structure is the biggest, I think the digital asset space poses the greatest risk towards the tax structure. And that's why IRS and everybody else looking to crack down, because of the issues of them losing out and people taking their currency and running. So I do agree with you on the fact that there's ways of getting out, but that's why I think they're trying to crack down so that they don't miss out on tax revenue for whatever it's worth to them, because they no longer need it because they're going to print it anyway. But I think it has a lot to do with the fact that as long as people are still willing to pay taxes, they're still going to have their grip on society.
Right, but to my point, Mike, is the fact that moving forward, as his time goes on, these governments are not going to have the same power, because ultimately, I just give you your piece of paper back and say, great, you know what, I'll come visit this country, but I'm no longer a citizen, and you can keep your piece of paper, because ultimately, it ain't worth nothing to me, because it's not about, like, this concept about America being so great and like the rest of the world is so bad. If the rest of the world is so bad, then the world will be on fire and America will be the only safe haven. So the propaganda in other countries is the same propaganda that America spews. And ultimately, as this young generations take over, as they're realizing now that the best value ain't always where you live. Right. And ultimately, it's a bigger world. And as this technology continues to grow, it's going to create a more diverse and even playing field. And people are going to decide, you know what? I'm not going to shop at Walmart. I'm going to shop at Home Depot. And then what happens is Home Depot and Walmart, you could say Russia or China, they're going to have to present a better deal, because people are going to say, you know what? Keep your rewards points. Keep your Home Depot credit card. I don't want it anymore, because the world is a bigger place. And that's ultimately, this is the bigger part of this. Right. And so this is my point.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling in.
You're welcome.
Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Hi, Mike. I'm calling from Mississippi, actually.
Hi there. What's your name?
I am Crypto Queen on YouTube, okay. So I'm following you live right now.
Appreciate you. What's in your mind?
Latanya.
Appreciate you. What's in your mind?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. Even with silver, gold, even with cryptocurrency, I heard you mention about taxation of that. You only get taxed when you sell it.
Right.
But the thing is,
no. I mean,
when you resell it,
when you trade it too. So don't forget that. When you trade, like a lot of people trade now, every transaction dealing with a cryptocurrency is taxable. So just on top of that.
Exactly. I don't know. I don't think. Well, I don't know why they're trading it back to fiat currency, but they do, because they don't understand. The asset class of cryptocurrency. So But my question is, even with silver and gold, when you go back to resell it, and if the CBDCs are kicked in, and people sell their crypto for capital gains, then they're not going to have control either, because now they're going to convert it back to a CBDC currency. Then what?
Right. That's a good point. And that's why I think that depending on how this plays out, we're going to find out if things will be stable enough where people will be able to, when it's time to get rid of your assets, will you sell it back into a CBDC, or will there be other ways? Because once again, as technology evolves, most people in their right frame of mind would not go back into something that's being weaponized against them. So they'll find other ways to either trade it directly, or there'll be other marketplaces that people can use as a peer-to-peer style approach towards being able to get their goods and services without having to go back into CBDC. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for, rather than going backwards. I mean, let's move forward. You're going to use the technology, use it to actually, engage with the economy directly without having to go back into a centrally controlled, digital currency or whatever they're going to try to throw our way. So that would be my hope.
Okay, how can I contact you? I would love to do a live stream with you. Do a live stream.
Oh, appreciate it. Definitely go to rethinkingthedollar.com. Top left is the admin at rethinkingthedollar.com, and shoot me an email. Love to connect.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate
so much.
you. Yeah.
Great show. Bye-bye.
Hello, caller. Where you calling from?
It's low blood pressure, Corpus Christi. How you doing, Mike?
LBP, doing good, man. What's on your mind?
A perfect subject. My favorite, cryptocurrency, Mike.
Right on time. What's going on, man?
Look, Mike, cryptocurrency is, you think the dollar's oppressive? You think, what is it, the SWIFT system is oppressive?
Mm-hmm.
Cryptocurrency is the most oppressive form of a monetary system known to man.
How so?
It's trash. 99% of all crypto's trash.
The public ledger cryptos, yes. But then again, that's why I'm an advocate, or not an advocate, but I am a fan of blockchains that built upon privacy. And there's a lot more coming, which I think will be utilized when people realize the problems with having all your information out there like that. But anyway, go ahead.
Look. So even those hidden cryptos,
mm-hmm.
like once you do one transaction and they figure out that transaction is you,
yeah,
everything you do could be traced to you.
Right. I don't doubt it. 100%. And that's where a lot of people at this current moment, they're not concerned with that, because as of now, it's not a criminal thing to transact in this space. But at some point down the line, especially after this regulation, when they begin to crack down even more, because whatever's coming in the form of Biden executive order is just the beginning. Of course, it's going to get worse, because all along the goal is to make sure average Joe doesn't profit off this transition. They want to make sure that you own nothing and are happy with it, however that plays out. So it won't be for our benefit, whatever they throw our way. So that's why either people continue to stand up and resist and push back, or fold over. So we're going to find out, man.
We'll see. And all these crypto people talking about they're going to jump ship, go to another country. Like, you got to be a crypto billionaire to go somewhere else. If I have 2 Bitcoin, what am I going to go overseas for? So I could, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
There's no way out, and especially with crypto.
Yeah. Well, we'll see, man. Appreciate your call, boss.
All right. Thanks for taking my call, Mike.
Yep. Yeah, good stuff, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, feel free to thought an idea, any pros, cons. Just, the goal is just to talk this stuff out, walk ourselves through it, try to use, a little bit of critical thinking and see what could come, knowing that if crypto is designed to free people the way that a lot of people believe it is or can do, what will the government do to make sure you're not free? Because the goal of politicians these days is to keep you in line, not to actually help you be free, whatever that word means in this day and age. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Mike, what's going on? It's Karan from Chicago.
Karan, what's going on, man? Give me some thoughts.
Man, it's happening, Mike. It's happening.
What's
slowly.
Happening? Give me some. What's happening?
Inevitable, dude. I used to be the only weirdo quack calling the show talking about crypto. Like, literally, I was like one of the only ones. Every once in a while. But now everybody talking about crypto. But listen, it's all about Bitcoin. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not crypto. It's all Bitcoin. But think about this, Mike. What did he say? He said y'all are gonna make a way. I don't know. He make a way out of no way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if internet magic, internet money, we can't see or touch, can't only exist.
Mm-hmm.
And that ain't making a way out of no way, Mike. And again, we won't understand it.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, I'm with you up until this point with this particular asset now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just up to this point, I was like, with gold and anything was screwed,
mm-hmm.
period.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he'll change everybody's heart. He'll change the darkest heart.
Mm-hmm.
And we know how dark their hearts are. But again, you said something earlier, too, about the couple.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, who's the biggest gangsters? I mean, who's the most thuggish gangsters in the world.
The government.
and what they look like.
Right.
So you know, that's why I say no. That look like exactly who did it.
Yeah. So I got the couple on the screen as to who apparently pulled off this extremely sophisticated heist of all those Bitcoins. But anyway, go ahead, man.
That's all I gotta say, man. Because I'm just like, when you said that, I'm like, you know what? That's how my second odd thing. So the third eye is like, no, those are the people who know how to do that.
Yeah.
And not to say they was only one. They might have had a team.
Yeah.
You could pay a team. They might be smart enough to go hire certain people and put them in different spots. Not know, you don't ever know what could have happened.
Now watch this. So me being, I guess, the tinfoil hat wearing, far left field, rabbit hole diving down deep type of person. My first guess would be if the Bitfinex hack was authentic, it had to be some type of governmental institute. Like, remember they got the Five Eyes, and of course NSA has tech that is well beyond what we understand. So I'm sure it's not that complicated to do that at that point in time a couple years ago. But I'd imagine it was a government entity as a part of the setup for the narrative that's playing out now as to where Congress people are talking about the need to protect, the retail investor. Right now, it's all about establishing regulation to protect the retail investor. That's how they're trying to sell it to us now. So, they had to get to this point by making it look so bad that it's so dangerous out here to do it by yourself. You need our help. You need regulation. You need the banks to be involved still. So we're not here by coincidence. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's definitely some sophisticated actors, i.e. government entities, that's a part of this, will be my suspicion.
Well, I hear you. I agree to a certain extent, man. But just what I say. It's my last thing I got.
Yeah.
Is, dude, I just read on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Now USA is the third largest wallet. They're right over top,
mm-hmm.
right under MicroStrategy. So they have now. So they technically got Bitcoin on their balance sheet now.
Yeah.
So we could checkmate El Salvador, checkmate Russia.
No, but see, here's the thing: is those coins supposedly they are part of a heist, meaning they're digital property that belongs to the people who are a part of the Bitfinex hack. So they're supposed to return those coins. Now we will find out if they do.
Gangster, though.
Huh?
They might not get them back. That might be the starter kit.
Right, exactly.
People might not get that money back. They took the gold. This time took the Bitcoin.
Exactly. So hey, appreciate you, man.
All right, Mike. Take care of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're gonna find out. So keep an eye on that. If those coins are returned, then they're back in the hands of their rightful owners. But if they're not returned, what's gonna happen is we're not gonna hear nothing about Bitfinex and those coins again because the story's done now. The narrative's put out there. This goes, as I said before, this goes right into Biden's executive order, which is coming in the next couple of weeks. They're going to use that as a primary story. We recovered the Colonial Pipeline from last year. The Bitcoin recovery, we recovered those cryptos. So there's 3 or 4 times now the government seems to come in and save the day to restore people's wallets back. Question all along is how exactly do they get these private keys? So if they get the private keys as easy as they make it seem, it's good to say that they're behind it. That would be my suspicion, but I could be 100% wrong. Hope I am wrong. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Here, like Steve, people reaching out.
Steve, what's going on, man?
Hey, it sounds like the GoFundMe truckers convoy money that got heisted. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah,
but just take it and not give it back.
But supposedly they're returning that. So that's what we're being told. But if you contributed and you haven't been refunded yet, reach out to me and let me know. I would definitely love to talk about that more.
hey, and one other thing too, while we're at it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not heavy into the cryptos. I opened up an account about a year ago. I've never used it at Coinbase. Never used it. But the thing is, if is it correct or is it not correct that every transaction or whatever, let's say you buy Bitcoin or whatever, and then you walk into Starbucks or whatever and use it, etc. Isn't every transaction being taxed?
So
aren't you responsible for?
Yeah. As of now, every transaction that takes place with you going back or going back into fiat or going into another coin is a taxable event. Yes. So they're trying to come up with some legislation now that makes it possible for people to spend up to $200 without it being a taxable event. So they're trying to propose some things.
Oh, okay. So the flip side to that is, okay, so we know that they're doing these transactions with, fake property and houses, yachts, etc.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference of that being? Because we know that that's fake. Everybody knows that's fake,
mm-hmm.
but they're still doing it. So what's the difference between that and Bitcoin?
So I don't know. Say that one more time. Give me that question one more time.
Yeah. So if people are able to sell fake property, like living next to Snoop Dogg and stuff like that,
right?
What's the difference between that and Bitcoin?
So that falls under the same category to me, because that purchasing of property in some metaverse somewhere is also a taxable event, because you spent the crypto to buy something, so you transfer into a new style of a asset, a digital asset property. So that right there is an event as well. All the NFT purchases and sales, those taxable events. So anything done whatsoever on the blockchain is a taxable event as of now. So, unless you're buying it and holding it, just sitting on it, if you're using it for anything, it's a taxable event. And the problem is, as of right now, they're not able to actually monitor all that and hold the actual, retail investors accountable for each transaction. That's a problem they have. So that's why I can see even harsher crackdowns coming, because they want to see and know every transaction. So, yeah,
exactly. So that makes sense. So basically, I guess the point that I'm trying to get around to. So neither one of them are real. Neither one of them are something that you can put in your hand.
Correct.
You can't go out to the land. You can't do that. So you can't do that with Bitcoin, and you can't do that with the imaginary yachts.
Correct. It's all a part of our. It's okay. So the tech people say it's computer code, it's verifiable, it's math, it's science, it's immutable. Okay, sure. That's what we're being sold on that front there. But also, ultimately, it boils down to it's an investment. It's a modern day investment using all this digital stuff that is denominated right now in some currency somewhere around this world, whether it's the dollar, the yen, the peso, and everyone does it with the idea that at some point it will appreciate in nominal terms and I'll make more than I put in. That's what it's primarily about. And I think because of greed and all that other stuff on top of that, that's why people have basically just promoted the banks getting involved and wanting regulation, because of their current holdings of it. Everybody wants to get richer. And I don't think it should be about, lessening the government's control over our lives, using this tech for good of humanity in the way Reggie Middleton, says that he's going to, use it for his IP purposes, whatever. But it's all about the people rather than regulatory bodies that will be put right in front of us again under a new system that's all digital and under their control, which is what they're trying to do to us, in my opinion.
Wow. So, well, let's face it, because you're correct about this. It's not going away.
Right.
Crypto is not. The blockchain's not going away, because that's how that beast system is going to use it for its purpose at some point. So it's not going away.
Right. And the blockchain is how we get to the one world currency. So it has to succeed. So that's why I'm confident that Bitcoin will go to $1 billion, $1 million, but it's just a matter of what will it do for you and what type of environment will we live in it for you to be able to enjoy that. Because as of now, apart from the convoy truckers, so I think right now the best movement taking place is the truckers in Canada. Those people are putting their wheels to the ground, and they are they're trying to initiate the change they want to see in their country. And hopefully we can do that in the U.S., because I think this truck convoy stuff is the start of something that's powerful for us, the people. So we need more of that. And that's the best way to push back against this tyranny.
Yeah, and it looks like the best way we can probably keep up with that part of it is probably through that Rebel News, Rebel News up in Canada, with something Levant, Ezra Levant, or something like that.
I'm not familiar.
I forgot the guy's name.
I'm not familiar with
it. But it's basically called Rebel News, Canada.
Okay, I'll check it out.
And then obviously you can keep up with it through like Alex Jones shows and stuff like that.
Right.
Hey, one other thing too, Mike, before I let you go.
Go ahead.
Hey, I went to because I have your care package boxed up, ready to go. But I went to your website. I couldn't find the address to send it to.
Yeah, just shoot me an email, or I'll reply back to your emails with a PO box for you to send it to.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Okay, we'll do it. you'll certainly like it. You'll like it.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for being a blessing.
No problem.
Yeah, be good.
Talk to you later.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Yeah, I saw a lot of thoughts out here in the chat real quick. Let me try to just share my 2 cents on some of them. Witherwork says, crypto can only be taxed when it's realized as cash. If I turn a Bitcoin into an Ethereum, there's no tax. I just like if I trade my Batman for a Superman, nobody knows law. Okay, so that statement there, it differs from the statements given to us by the regulatory bodies that talk about and compare the digital asset space directly to the stock side of things, when it comes towards the capital gains side of things. So, whatever works, keep it moving. And also, here's another thing. This will be the defining moment for all of this, whether it be with silver and gold, cryptos, stocks, whatever, the stock, whatever, will be the moment the people wake up as the overall economy continue to tank and realize that not only has inflation been a tax, but taxation in and of itself on income is something that we've always should have questioned. Once enough people realize that unless there's some way of enforcing you having to actually pay tax, will the people continue to pay tax? So my personal opinion is that if the markets tank, if things go belly up the way that people are predicting it will, this is before the Federal Reserve's response with turning on the fire hydrant and flooding the world. I think at that moment, people will be so tapped out of not having any assets whatsoever, because most people only live in a legacy system with stocks, bonds, stuff that, will be flooded out. Gold and silver holders will become enemy of the state because those are the people that's protecting themselves, preserving their purchasing power. The type of taxation that will probably be thrown on that will be ridiculous. But then the digital asset space, for whatever projects that remain, I think Bitcoin will be around. Privacy coins will be the predominant coins, I believe, at some point. And then it's going to be how do the government, if they still have control of the system, how will they continue to keep their hands in our pockets? And that's where I think the moment people wake up and realize that the biggest thing we should be questioning is what our tax dollars have been used for and whether or not it's still worth us actually continue to even pay taxes moving forward will be the questions that I think a lot of people will be confronted with, because it's going to be hard to, continue to tax people if the majority of people don't have anything. That's why I think the social credit score and the CBDC merger, which will come after the next collapse, and how they're going to enforce things, because they know they can't tax people that's already pissed, especially if there's social unrest. People won't pay nothing. So they're going to do it for you with removing the funds from your CBDC wallet. That's why, everything is meant to be programmable, because they're not going to rely upon you to be honest with your financial dealings. They're going to see it on their ledger. And when it's time, whatever time period, whether it be every, tax season, you're going to be given a text notification or email notification saying that by the 4th or 15th, we're going to file your taxes for you. We're going to remove it from your digital CBDC wallet. And so that's why, all this programmable interoperability, social credit score, all this stuff is coming, because they're going to try to do it for you. Now, the big thing is we want to make sure we get to the point where enough people wake up in masses so that we can present our best way of resisting this by saying, no, I'm not participating in your system. Enough's enough. I want something better. I prefer something from the free market rather than a hijacked and compromised political structure. So we're going to be given a choice. Which side are we going to be on? This side or that side? Are we going with the current political order, or will we demand something different? And I think the truckers are doing the best job in demanding something different, because they want true change. They want everything to be dropped because they realize it's not been in their best interest. So bravo to those guys. Hello, caller. Which name are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Chip from San Francisco.
Chip from San Francisco. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind?
Hey, I heard the conversations about like taxes and crypto and all of that. Was wondering if you heard of a 508c1a trust account.
Give it to me one more time. What was that again?
A 508c1a trust. So it basically allows normal people like me and you to create a separate entity where you don't have to basically do any more taxes. You don't have to collect any receipts or anything. And I know it sounds so too good to be true.
Okay.
But if you want to get a guest, he's really good. He's he has a YouTube channel, and it's pretty big.
Yeah.
It's called Liberty Aid Academy.
Liberty Aid Academy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he does every week. He has a call-in show like you, and people have questions because a lot of people are doing it.
Yeah.
That's just another avenue. Because I know people think, taxes is just doing it one way, but to tell you the truth, like Kim Kardashian. Okay, Kim Kardashian has one of these. And very early in her career, a lot of rich people actually do this, and it flies under the radar.
Okay, so you say a 501c trust?
No, sorry, it's a 508.
508. Okay.
Yeah.
508.
C1A.
C1. Okay. 508CA trust.
C1A.
C1A.
Charlie 1A.
Okay. Trust. Okay.
Yeah, and it's usually people do it under a faith-based organization.
Yeah.
They design it that way.
Yeah.
But in reality, it doesn't really have to be a certain religion.
Okay.
So he'll get it all into it.
Okay.
Also, one other thing, I know with crypto versus silver, I'm a huge silver stacker since 2010.
Okay.
But and I have like many of your callers, we have both. I know it, because really, like when we see the truck convoy, getting their money taken away and all of that.
Right.
Silver, you can't really send silver through the mail to help these folks out.
Right.
So, it's really maybe through privacy coins like Monero, those type of things. That's going to be more of a solution. So you can see like there's different business or use cases for different types of cryptos.
Right.
So, maybe, for your callers, I know we're all, stacking, but, maybe just consider diversifying a little bit.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
No, appreciate you, man. Thank you for calling. And I'll definitely dive into that.
Thanks for
508 stuff. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, be good. Yeah, more information worth studying out. Definitely, I'll find out more of the 508. Wasn't familiar with that myself. Knew about the trust side of things, but something worth checking into. But here's another thing as well to think about. Moving ahead, all the financial instruments has been created. The Roth IRA, all the tax deferred stuff, in particular. Do you actually think that with the deterioration of our country, utilizing our currency as a weapon to prop things up, transferring all the wealth in the world from the hands of the majority into the hands of a small few, do you think that taxes down the line will still be at zero for people who think they can pay taxes now and have no taxes later type of approach? And that's why I question all these entities, even though trusts are set up for the uber wealthy. Once again, when the billionaires have the attention and they've bought and paid for all the judges and judicial system structures around the world, do you actually think that they're going to still honor those contracts? UCC, all the codes and stuff like that. Will they still honor that? And that's where it's like, I will hope so in normal times like they are now, where the law of order you can still, fight for your rights type of thing. It's all good. But in the future, when things are chaotic, if it gets to that point, will you be able to actually hire a lawyer to then go fight and argue your case without the government somehow calling you an actual terrorist of your own country because you were wise enough to put aside metals and utilize the backdoor channels to protect yourself? They're going to look at it like you're the part of the problem. It's because of people like you that our country suffered because you were responsible enough to take care of yourself, 10 years ago. That type of stuff, that's the type of craziness that they can be thrown at us. And therefore, people who do the right thing can be punished still. So just my thoughts. Hello, caller. Which name are you calling from?
What's going on, Mike? Made my day. Dwayne from the Midwest.
Dwayne from the Midwest. What's going on, man?
You switched up on me, man. You switched up on me, man. You in the daytime, man. What's going on, man?
Schedule change, kids schedule, you name it, man. I try to make it consistent, so I'm gonna try to stick to the 4 o'clock time frame for a while, just to try it out. It might do it late night if I can. Anyway, what's going on, man?
Okay, got you. So, hey, Mike. You know who Lee Oswald is?
Yeah.
What do they call him?
The top of my head, I'm drawing a blank. Give it to me.
Patsy. Remember, they call him a Patsy, right? They call him a Patsy. That's what cryptocurrency is, a Patsy.
Okay, that's a different way of putting it.
I'm gonna tell you, they listen. This is what these people do. They get a situation just like they did with the stock market before they bring the regulations. They blow it up. They let people trade and make money and make millionaires. They don't care because the bigger picture of the bigger economy is we're going to get our suckers in and we're going to just tear it down. And then whatever pieces left over, they're going to go in and pick it up. That's just what they do all the time. Just like what they do when they do a corporate buyout.
Yeah.
Ready to flood a company. They go in, pump it up full of debt, let the company crash, and then they start picking up the pieces.
Right.
That's what they're gonna do with this crypto scene. All they're gonna do is pump it up.
Yeah.
Let the people go in. Same thing they did with YouTube.
Yeah.
Remember, the people built up YouTube, and then YouTube came in, slapped them with the regulations, throwing people off, doing all kind of stuff. They let the people build it up, and they come in it.
Yeah.
Modern day Patsy.
Hey.
The financial Patsy. What do you think about that, Mike?
I can ride with that, man. Like at this current moment, man, I'm trying to still understand how this is going to all play out, knowing that, I just think the whole crypto space is designed to lure a lot of people in, and it's a great back door for the big players in this, but yet, once again, it's not necessarily for the small people to win because that's just goes against the grain. But hopefully, crypto is disruptive. Hopefully it is real. Hopefully it does people more good than harm. But we'll see. That's why I tell people, make sure you always get your weight up first and foremost, because that's money. And like everything else is, pure speculation on top of it, man. But yeah, I can ride, which is that the financial Patsy, as you said it.
Yeah, financial Patsy. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I got a little southern twang sometimes.
No problem. I get you, though. I get you, man.
Hey, one more thing, though, Mike. One more thing. For all these people out here talking about evading taxes, not paying taxes in the metaverse, and going with these crypto, not paying taxes. Just keep one thing in mind. You better make sure you're ready to fight that war.
Yeah, it's a hell of a war to fight, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Ask Reggie Middleton.
Right.
You better make sure you're able to fight that war.
Yeah.
You have to really think. Just because you made some money, you're gonna put some money away. Are you willing to fight that war? Because you're gonna have to fight a war. You got to go to war.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
lawyers up, you got to get your pay up. You're gonna have to go to war and prove this. And I don't know who Peter Schiff's father.
Yeah, Erwin Schiff.
You know about Erwin Schiff?
Oh yeah,
Erwin Schiff
all the time, man. And knowing this, Erwin Schiff, his books are sold off Amazon. They're all sold out, yada yada yada. But Peter Schiff's dad, went to the grave fighting still. And one of my concerns was even Googling his name. Put you on a radar, you know what I'm saying? Because, because he was an advocate preacher of it, taxes being unlawful in of itself, and he could back it up. So no doubt, Erwin Schiff is a tag word that if you go ahead and Google it, believe me, you're going to show up with some radars because, you're waking up. So they don't want that out there still. So, but here's the thing, the fight you're mentioning, fighting it as an individual person is impossible, but fighting it in numbers is doable, i.e. the truck convoy. So that's why I think one of the biggest movements that could take place would be people waking up and realizing that there have been double, triple, quadruple tax, income tax, sales tax, death tax, capital gains tax, all these damn taxes, leaves you with very little. And on top of not having much already for the average Joe, that's enough to hit the streets and hit DC and every other capital in the country demanding we want something to change. So hopefully we get to that point, man. I wouldn't be mad. I'd be out there with a sign too.
I hear you, brother. I definitely hear you. But I just want the people to be aware. Make sure if you're gonna do that, make sure you're able to fight that war.
Yeah.
Because we ain't got there yet. What you talking about? We're not there yet. So you gotta make sure you fight that war. That's all I got for you today.
Appreciate
you.
Take
care, brother.
Be good.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's just something worthwhile. But definitely for everybody who don't know, Peter Schiff, dad, everybody who might know, but Irwin Schiff, IRWIN, I see somebody in the chat mention it. His books, his teachings, his videos are still out there, and I've watched all of them, and it got me questioning a lot of things too. But another thing, I'm on. That's what I'm gonna end on. This is another thing I shared in the Telegram group. An interesting video. It just makes you think. And so it was some people in South Africa, a news reporter, basically just testing the boundaries to see how far they could go down south. Long story short, the more was not being told about what's happening down in Antarctica and why we can't go down there without permission makes me want to question more. But anyway, so in this video, I encourage you to join the Telegram group. You can see it there. I put it like yesterday. And, they took a flight, chartered a plane, and they just set out from South Africa, heading down south to see how far they can go. And they ignored all the warnings from the flight control back in South Africa. They ignored them on purpose to see what would happen. Sure enough, some jet fighters were scrambled, and next thing you know, in an instant, they had two military planes next to them, and they're like, flap your wings if you hear us. You need to respond, and they didn't respond. They kept flying, and then the guy in one of the jet fighter planes said, if you don't respond, we're gonna shoot you down. And I'm thinking, like, you got some South African citizens, assumably, out on a stroll, flying towards Antarctica, and if it gets to the point where they get too close, they will be shot down. How serious is it? Make you wonder. Then on the same video, there was a boat, a fishing boat, big boat, 4 or 5 guys in it with the camera. They just set out to go as far as they can south without stopping. They ignored all the warnings from all the Navy, the South African Navy or whatever. Sure enough, a damn missile cruise ship popped up right in front of them. And it was like, you better stop. If not, we're going to shoot. We're going to sink you. So to think about this, they do a lot. They put forth a lot of effort to make sure that the world doesn't go south. Why not? What are they hiding? What's down south? And that's what I want to find out. So anyway, I thought I would just end with that because it's just more stuff to make you think. The more they keep you away from it, the more it only just sparks my curiosity. So if you can't fly to Antarctica without permission, you can't sail down Antarctica without permission. What's down in Antarctica? And I think there should be 8 billion people pissed off and wanting to find out what's down south. And we need to all head down at the same time because they can't stop us all. But anyway, that's all she wrote. Hope everybody had a good time kicking, hanging out today. Be blessed, be safe, and I will see you guys later. Peace. Visit Rethinking the Dollar throughout the day. Your place for news on metals, gold, crypto, you name it. Scroll down to the bottom and you get a chance to see the daily videos, the recommended videos, and more importantly, the 5 reasons to unplug from the monetary matrix, with the first one being the awakening period. Step number 1, test your dollar IQ. 10 simple questions, average is 60%. Follow up with the alternative perspective with the monetary reports. Consider becoming a supporter of the Rethinking the Dollar platform via Patreon. Get a chance to hang out off air as well as additional information that can't be discussed on YouTube. Any support is helpful. With the crackdown on alternative media, the best thing to do is connect off air. Scroll down to the very bottom. You can find Rethinking the Dollar on Telegram, audio, Facebook, Twitter, Parler, you name it. The most important ones will be the email list where you can get notified weekly, the Discord page, and make sure you connect on Telegram. And last, don't forget to visit the RTD store where you can get merchandise as well as additional information and resources. And most importantly, scroll down to the bottom and get your weight up with all the limited edition rounds only available on the RTD store.